Hi everybody, I'm Shane Kohler. I'm the creator and founder of The Living Relationship, where my fiance and I work together to bring you a conscious perspective to your dating, relationship, and love life. We do this work because we're passionate about love and we want you to have the amazing, loving, and committed relationship that you truly deserve. In today's video, we're going to talk about 3 things that you need to know before you go into a new relationship. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified of our new videos when they're released. Thanks for watching, and let's begin. There are so many mistakes that people make in the beginning of a relationship that if they only knew how to not make these simple mistakes, they would avoid a world of pain that most people get into. Let's take an example. There was a woman who reached out to us last week, somebody who follows us on Instagram, and she had a request. She was going through a really difficult breakup because somebody that she had fallen head over heels in love with in just a matter of a couple months decided to go back to their ex and not only cut her off, but completely ghosted her. Now, I felt this woman's pain because I've been in a situation like this myself in the past, and I know what it's like to go through this. But I couldn't help but think that if she had only known how to prevent herself getting into this situation, she would have avoided most of the pain that she was experiencing. Now, some people try to avoid this pain by closing themselves off and being guarded, and they don't let anyone in. But if you're not open to letting the wrong people in, then you're also closing yourself off to the right people, and you never find love. So being guarded doesn't really work. But also just believing somebody when they tell you they love you and they'll be there forever and they'll never leave, which this person did tell her all of this stuff. Just believing whatever somebody says doesn't really work either. So what do you do in a situation like this? How do you properly go into a new relationship? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about 3 things that if you simply go into a new relationship with these 3 things, you will not make most of the mistakes that people make early on. The first thing you need to know going into a new relationship is that just because it feels good doesn't mean that it's love. We often confuse the amazing feelings of a new relationship with being in love with that person, with having true love with that person. The early stages of a relationship are called the honeymoon phase, and we've all heard of this, we've all experienced this. It's when that person could do no wrong. We feel like we've never felt before in our lives. We feel like we finally found what we've always been looking for. What you need to be aware of going into it is 2 things. 1, that will not last forever. The feelings that you have will change. And if you don't consciously acknowledge that going into the relationship, you're going to be blindsided when it does start to change. The second thing you need to be aware of is that the feelings that you have with that person are not about that person. The feelings that you have is about what you're experiencing with that person. It's about what you're creating together in the relationship, and those are experiences that could be created with other people as well. When you recognize this, it prevents you from wanting to cling to that person. Going into a new relationship, knowing that those amazing feelings are not going to last forever, and knowing that if the relationship doesn't work out, that you will be okay and you could create that again with someone else, sets you up to succeed in the relationship. It prepares you to do the necessary work. If you go into it without acknowledging these things, you will be blindsided when the relationship changes, and you will not know how to do the work that needs to be done. The second thing you need to know going into a new relationship is that you always get exactly what you allow. The relationship will always live up to your minimum expectations. So it's very important from the beginning to set your boundaries and your standards and your principles early on so your partner knows what to expect from you. Most people are inclined to make concessions or compromises early on because they don't want to rock the boat, or they don't want to upset the partner, or they're afraid of how it might look to the person if they stood up for that. What you don't realize is that when you make these concessions, you actually teach them that that's okay. When they do or say something that makes you uncomfortable or that you don't like, and you don't speak up about it, you actually teach them that that behavior is okay. And the longer the behavior goes on, the less likely it is to change and the more challenging it is to confront it. Even from the beginning, when something comes up, it's important to have those challenging conversations. When something makes you uncomfortable, it's important to talk about it. Because if you allow something to continue in the relationship, that is how the relationship will be. From the beginning, you create the relationship that you will have in the future. Every moment you're together, you are designing your life together. So you need to do that consciously from the beginning. Don't let your fear of rejection or your fear of being alone prevent you from having the difficult conversations that you need to have. Let them determine if they want to live up to those standards or not. You're simply communicating what those standards are. If they choose not to live up to that standard, that's on them. And again, you can create a relationship with somebody who does want to live up to those standards. But when you don't communicate those standards, you do yourself and the relationship a disservice. The third thing you need to know going into a new relationship is that they might not be the one, and they might be. I know it seems obvious, but here's the key. They might not be the one, they might be, and you can be okay either way. The point is, don't go into any relationship feeling like it has to work. Early on, you never want to have a relationship where you feel like this has to work out. If it doesn't, I'll be devastated. You go into it knowing that it might not work out, accepting that it might not work out, and still giving it an honest chance. You should actually be discussing this together. You should be having open conversations early on in the relationship saying, listen, we're here attempting to make this work with each other, and if it doesn't, it's okay for either of us to decide that we want to go. You actually give each other the freedom to choose to leave if you want to. Now, please understand this. I'm not saying anything goes. You are totally within your right to say, if you want to give this relationship a chance, I need you to be exclusive with me. I can't have you going out sleeping with everybody and still trying to have a relationship with me. That's not going to work. So I'm not saying that anything goes. But what I'm saying is you have an open conversation that says, if one of us decides that this is not what we want, it's okay for us to leave. That way, you both choose to be in the relationship because it's what you want and because you're willing to work for it. When you put pressure on it like it has to work, you put the other person, yourself, and the relationship in a very difficult position. And it's very difficult for a relationship to authentically work out when you put that pressure on it. Be open to the fact that it could work out. Also be open to the fact that it might not. Be willing to accept it either way. Be willing to give it everything you have while still knowing that it might not work out and knowing that if it doesn't, you will create a relationship that does. Bringing these 3 tools into a new relationship are the things that make it most likely to succeed. When you go into it understanding that it's going to feel amazing, but those amazing feelings are not going to last forever, and there is going to be real work to do after that period of time passes. Knowing that you are creating the relationship from the very beginning through the conversations that you're willing to confront and the conversations that you avoid, you are creating the future that you'll have together. Understanding that the relationship may work out and it may not, and honestly being able to accept and be okay with it either way. By doing these 3 things, you will avoid 90% of the pain and heartache that most people get themselves into in dating. This is how you avoid getting wrapped up in a toxic situation, and this is how you make sure that the relationships you truly invest in are the ones that are worthwhile. Working with you around the practical application of tools like this is exactly what we do in our singles programs. I'd like to tell you about our program, Redesign the Dating Game. This is a personalized, step-by-step process that frees you from the toxic dating world and brings you into a thriving love life that ultimately leads you to the love of your life. In this program, we work with core issues around worthiness and personal empowerment while teaching you powerful relationship skills and dating strategies that prevent you from ever ending up in another toxic situation and ultimately creating a loving, committed, conscious relationship. We'd love the opportunity to speak with you about this program. At the link below, you can find some information about it. Take a look. If you're interested, you can schedule a call with us at no charge to answer any questions you have, give you all the details, and see if it's something that makes sense. We offer this program in a one-on-one setting and also in a group setting, so there's something for everyone. Take a look, and if you're interested, we would love to speak with you about it. Thanks again for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like it. Please leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to know what stood out to you and how you're going to use this in your life. If you thought it was valuable, please share it with somebody else who could find value in it, and I know they'll appreciate you for it. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we appreciate your support so much. We'll see you right back here in our next video.